bunking off school in the 4-channel era, karma came in the form of the daytime talk show, and you'd find yourself asking, was it worth skiving off PE to sit through bloody Kilroy? Until it was pulled off air when Robert Kilroy Silk said some racism, Kilroy ran for 17 years, generally covering the sort of topics seen in this popular montage of intros.
You were charged with the attempted murder of your father, your 16-year-old daughter's dating a man of 38. Oh dear. Your husband committed suicide, and you blame yourself. And then she lifted her dress and revealed she was a man. Your mother's in a care home and she's being drugged. She wasn't being chatted up by a paedophile, was she?
But sometimes you got lucky and it was a paranormal one, as with a pair of episodes titled I Believe in Ghosts and I Live with a Ghost. Imagine how many girlfriends you'd get if you took out an electric guitar at a party and blasted out the Kilroy theme though. Kilroy Silk, a man who'd be incredulous even if you told him you'd just drunk a glass of water or seen a fly, is perfect to chair such a diversive topic.
Or have you woken up in the night to see this tall, dark figure at the end of the bed? Did you panic or get excited?
Hosts aside, these episodes are great little collections of eyewitness reports.
And when you'd be going to sleep, you could feel it grab your neck.
If the women went into the loo, the whole of the loo, the cistern, everything would just shake.
And I woke up one night and I had an extremely cold draft. It was a frigid draft, like a fridge door was thrown open. Went down my body.
Come on, you'll have to give me more than that.
But immediately after that, the Cocker Spaniel that lives in the house with me, Frodo, went completely mad.
Now you're talking.
So
yes, I mean, I don't understand what this kind of phenomenon is, but I went to bed one night, woke up in the early hours of the morning, very loud scratching noises coming from the back of the dressing table in the bedroom.
He's a sort of haunted Larry Grayson.
And I was living with my parents at the time. The following morning I got up, I was talking to my mother.
Poor Everard got the willies put right up him.
She had experienced it in a slightly different manner, and my father had as well.
This, they knew, was the ghost of their neighbour's dog, spiritually brushing against mother's leg, and they caught it on a tape recorder.
That was basically in the bathroom. That was the very last time. It was the scratching noises from the skirting board.
Oh yeah. You don't turn up to Kilroy without hard evidence.
It appeared in the form of a monk. We believe that's a monk. Yeah. We believe that it was a Welsh monk that was inhabiting our house. At least that's how we thought of it.
How small is he? Must have slept in a shoebox. Brother Corbett was his name.
Why'd you get good ghosts and rotten ghosts or mischievous ghosts?
Good question, Kilroy. Some of these dead sods are proper bad uns.
Mummy, the little girl, comes into my room and tells me not to play with the man in the shop round the corner.
Sounds ominous.
Well, about 3 months later, I found out I didn't know that the man who had the shop around the corner was a paedophile and had murdered the child who was 12 years old, I believe, at the time, from our home.
This really dates it, being unable to pronounce paedophile. There is one connection running throughout these stories.
I went to bed one night, woke up in the early hours of the morning.
And at that time I was asleep and my bed faced a mirror and I woke up.
I woke up one night.
It followed me home and it woke me in the night.
I turned over and then all of a sudden the bedclothes just went down.
But I'm sure they know the difference between dreams and reality.
You said yourself you thought it was a dream before somebody told you
I did
otherwise.
Think that for a long time until I was told by a medium.
But conversely, When you woke up and found me stealing all the cheese from your fridge, that was a dream. Everyone's look screams, my hobby is ghosts. And your dad's landlady's there too.
One of the spare bedrooms started to smell of like an eggy smell after loads of things happened.
Eggy smell?
It smelled disgusting.
It was a brown stain at first.
Shut up, you lot! Behave yourselves!
It's so rowdy. Vigo the Carpathian's pink slime must be flowing under the studio.
This is total nonsense. I mean, there's no such thing. You are exploiting the other victims. You are very innocent people, and people like you are making money.
I can't believe that some seemingly rational people can actually believe this stuff at all.
Why?
Well,
why?
Complete rubbish.
David,
Why do you think it's rubbish, David?
Sorry?
Why do you think it's rubbish? Why do you think we're deluded? 75% of the population is deluded.
Whether they're talking about ghosts or traffic wardens, these debate shows exist solely to get both sides shouting over each other.
I was not imagining this really did.
And the paranormal is a particularly emotive topic. You found comfort in seeing a dead loved one, and are now being told you're a dime bar.
If you want something, I mean, if you're in a desert, you see a mirage because you want it.
Yeah, all right, okay.
So
well, I want to win the lottery.
No, because I wouldn't tell
I can't make that happen, can I?
If snarkiness was an Olympic sport, this woman would have half the world's gold reserves.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I heard my son's music box playing. Explain that. No, it's not a radio, it's a music box, a little wind-up toy.
Well, I mean, surely if it's just a toy, then there's got to be some explanation for why it's coming on.
Explain it then.
Right. Just because the music box comes on, don't mean to say it's a ghost, does it? Really?
Right, so what is
it?
It's the wind. I'm very sorry, wind's got fingers and can turn it then, can it?
It's the great Father Lionel Fanthorpe off 4T and TV. He'll calm things down a bit.
In the case that I investigated, the family were telling me in good faith that shoes were turning up in the fridge and that food from the fridge was turning up in the wardrobe.
We hear from the owner of a haunted bakery.
Well, we know who one of them was.
Who was he?
It was Jack the Ripper.
You call me arrogant. You call me arrogant. I think there's a serious point to be made.
I called you what?
You called somebody around here called me. Sorry, you called me arrogant.
All right, just everyone pipe down and let's get the deets on Saucy Jack.
Okay. Well, this is where Pat comes into this part of it because you are the medium.
Jack the Ripper.
B, I'm not deluded. I'm one of the most sensible people.
Pat, get on with Jack the Ripper.
I went into a trance, and he came through, and Lydia actually has a videotape of it.
Dying to see a horror movie where Jack starts up his killings again, in the body of Pat.
Shush.
There
wasn't one person in the bakery, but 2. They were homosexual paedophiles.
Not you too. Is this a Berenstain thing?
Sorry? Didn't know you had friends like that. They were homosexual paedophiles.
I have homosexual friends. Why does that equate to be a paedophile?
That's how you say it. Mind you, considering Jack the Ripper was never identified, how do they know it was him?
We know the guy's name, but I'm not going to give it to you.
And on that bombshell, although in the following rabble, someone shouts out, "Druid," which Pat confirms as correct. So there you have it. Jack the Ripper was Montague Druid, now pissing around in a bakery.
It wasn't Montague Druid.
Montague John Druid.
Rubbish.
Rubbish.
Who are we talking about now?
That's not the only celebrity spirit, as they're joined by the ghost of Bobby Ball.
There's that many different types.
What's a ghost?
All right.
I were woken one night by me brace pinging against me nipple. It got me pigging skin, Tom. More ghosts, more.
It tries strangling myself. It talks to my children.
I had a whole sequence of peculiar electrical problems.
My daughter was pushed off the table.
My spirit in my house is my brother.
What is a ghost? What's a ghost?
Oh, here comes me big moment. Better make sure the ponytail's looking its best. Hold on. Is that very genuine psychic James Byrne off the James Whale video from 3 Halloweens ago?
There is spirit, earthbound and angelic. Some people are talking angelic.
He's done a lovely job growing that out in the last 10 years.
They will become cold. I am an international exorcist for 37 years.
An exorcist? Praise the Lord. What does that mean?
Of all the stories, this is my absolute favourite.
Well, I mean, one of the experiences that I had, I was 5 years old, and I was up at the dinner table, and Paul Daniels' Magic Show was on, incidentally, at the time, and I looked out of the window, and this transparent figure appeared to me outside the window, and it was a Chinese magician.
New fear unlocked. You see a ghost, and it starts doing the fucking linking rings.
And about only 3 years ago, I discovered that the outfit that this ghost was wearing was actually a proper outfit that Chinese magicians actually used to wear. Now, how did I know that at 5? There's no way I could have known that. Paul Daniels' Magic Show was on, incidentally, at the time.
Any comedy writers, take note of this impeccable dialogue.
Does he talk to you? The ghost, I mean.
It's spoken to me.
What's it said?
It just said, you know who I am.
Who is it?
I don't know.
So what's the conclusion? Are ghosts real or what?
But okay, it might be really lovely to have ghosts. I hope they are. Take care of yourselves.
If you'd like to join Robert in a programme about rape or another programme about loneliness, call him now.
I think I'm busy that week, doing absolutely anything else. Over to the other side, it's John Stapleton's The Time, the Place. Back in 1992, UFOs and aliens were still a fringe belief, before 50% of all people fully believed every conspiracy they'd ever heard. These days, half the queue in Morrison's think there's giant Nephilim in underground bases, and King Prince Charles sleeps in a big terrarium.
Flying saucers, UFOs, or figments of people's imagination.
Again, it's a great assemblage of weird experiences.
Hands up all the people here in Nottingham today who have seen an unidentified flying object.
It just separated into two stars.
And as I looked up into the sky, as the jets got closer, they just took off. And at that point I thought to myself, well, God help this world if we're up against something like that that's against us.
And I looked up and I saw a red rectangle.
Lizard Brooch, eh? She's one of them. In fact, it's highly likely there's an alien in that studio, disguised as a human, doing recon. Which one of these is it, do we think? There's the comforting presence of Jenny Randalls, some lovely old flying saucer pics, and is that Chris Chan in the back row?
I've spoken to policemen who have been on duty in the early hours of the morning and seen cigar-shaped objects rising up from behind trees.
But again, it's all down to these interesting little stories.
I saw what I thought must have been one of these vehicles, and it appeared through the window. It came towards me through the window.
Where at home?
Yes, and it was only about 2 feet in diameter and a greenish-grey colour.
And then I heard what sounded like a child's voice. Can I have my frisbee back, mister?
And it came up to me, it didn't speak to me, but I could get the mental transference that don't be afraid, we're friendly.
I was having a Christmas holiday at Matlock, and I saw a storm moving across the sky early in the morning. This is 7:20, and it actually did a right turn. It came up towards us, turned itself inside out.
There's a woman who learned, under hypnosis, that she was abducted.
It was big.
Oh, it was very big. It was 60 foot across. We didn't realise until 18 months later that there was an hour missing out of our time.
Oh, so you had a similar experience to Dorothy here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Me, when I see some young people on a night out.
And there were 6 of them, and they all looked the same.
I think this lady's about to find herself in the next Venom sequel.
I found this after a sighting the following morning. It's a piece of rock. We've had it analysed. It stands 1,000 degrees centigrade is its melting point, and it reverts back to its original state when it's cooled.
How do you account for that?
We don't know. We don't know what it is. It's been in 4 different types of acid and withstood it. It will cut glass.
Thank you, John. Greetings.
Even Esther Ranson did UFOs and that. In her imaginatively titled series Esther, which incredibly ran for 1,174 episodes, including 1995's Alien Encounters. How can we liven up the theme tune? Stick some sex noises in it?
In our studio today, we have people who've met aliens from outer space. In fact, some have been kidnapped by them. They've had strange operations carried out by them on their bodies.
First up is an abductee with an actual medical report, listing a catalogue of unexplained injuries.
I ended up outside of the house, and I was moving upward in this light and I could see the top of the house.
Were you awake or asleep?
I was absolutely totally awake. I saw a tennis ball stuck in the guttering, which we later had removed because I'd seen it that night. And there, standing in front of me, were what I would describe as 3 non-human beings.
This is the dictionary definition of a smattering of applause.
See how the audience is responding so far. Who believes this? Are we convinced by this? Yes.
But it's all just a setup, and Esther does a journalistic gotcha, discrediting the whole deal.
So what we did was we telephoned the hospital that's named at the top of this form to ask them about this form. Now, very sadly, they said there were some errors in this form. They said that this signature doesn't actually conform to any doctor's signature who was there at the time that this happened to you. And
excuse me,
it's
not a fake.
But what
all
they
I
also
can tell
said,
you is it was given
You can take the woman out of that's life.
Well, the worst thing, I'm afraid, Maria, is that no doctor ever types a report like this.
Well, all I can say is that that's what was given to me by my general practitioner.
They're always written by hand. And your doctor is where?
My doctor is in Dartford, but he unfortunately had a heart attack.
So he's passed away,
Yes,
has
and I'm
he?
sure if
We still get some experiences.
At which point the object was then in a field next to us, and Valerie and myself were watching it out of the side window.
I woke up in the early hours of the morning
That old chestnut.
and found myself floating in a motel room, above the bed, to the side of it, and then up out of the room. I then found myself lying on what felt like a metal sheet, surrounded by lots of bright lights and lots of entities.
Really, the afternoon talk show existed as an outlet to the sort of people who, today, fill their time posting cry-laugh emojis and comments that Disney have gone woke and gone broke. Back then, they had to sit in an audience angrily shaking their heads.
What really baffles me is that out of the whole size of the whole planet, they come straight to your house. So other words are just flying across, and they say, "Oh, we'll go down there. Oh, wonderful. Let's all go down there, shall we? All go down there, shall we?" What a load of rubbish.
Big Alan Godfrey's there, which is like doing an episode about football and Maradona shows up.
It was real, it was solid, it left debris on the road. I don't know what it was, and up to this day, nobody's explained to me exactly what it was.
There's a live link-up with Arthur C. Clarke from his home in Sri Lanka, superimposing Esther onto his monitor like video calls exist already. And our chums from the Aetherius Society put in a cameo.
Jesus, Buddha, Sri Krishna, I Ching, Confucius. They're all cosmic masters who have come to this planet.
Well, let me put that to Arthur C. Clarke.
It's possible, but I think rather unlikely.
He's dead now. Arthur C. Clarke, more like. Maria showed up on another talk show, Central Weekend Live, hosted by David Kid Jensen, with a slightly more sensationalised title.
3 o'clock one morning, you woke up and you saw a flash of light on the wall. What happened next?
Feels like the Esther cast just went right next door, 'cause she's there too.
I'd been having a lot of stress about aliens, couldn't sleep at night, and they talked to me before I went to sleep and told me they were going to leave me alone because I couldn't handle it. Then I woke up in the middle of the night to find myself floating above the bed.
When a mate told me ITV are rebooting The Upper Hand.
And I thought to myself, they lied. And then I went to sleep.
It's tricky, isn't it? Picking our way through the sensationalism, mental health, and the truly unknown. What we need is an expert voice.
Fred Talbot, do you believe these stories?
No, quite simply I don't.
The paedophile.
I think it's fantasising.
Fred the Ped's got the right hump about it.
I had a nightmare some weeks ago, and
experience
actually
just
an
stays
interesting
with
thing
you.
as well. I went and scratched myself. There was blood on the pillow.
Fine. So
There's no aliens came to see me.
damage to my cervix, bruising, hit the hole in the navel he couldn't explain.
How large was this hole?
This time round, they give her the old Jeremy Kyle lie detector.
Did you meet that night 4 creatures who were not human beings?
Yes.
Jeremy Barrett, are they telling the truth?
They are.
Take that, Talbot. We don't get so many witness reports here, and when we do, Fred's still not having it.
We got to the top of the street, and there it was, level with the tops of the roof of the technical college. It was as big as 4 double-decker buses.
Fred, you dispute what they saw too?
I would like to have seen it because I think I could have probably... I think I probably could have explained it.
Central Weekend dipped into this stuff pretty frequently, and in '98 they took another crack at aliens. We've had Wiseman and Randalls, and now you can cross Nick Pope off your paranormal bingo.
30th of March 1993, a huge metallic diamond-shaped craft.
Unlike Kilroy, the audience is decidedly on the sceptical side, and every comedian dreams of getting laughs like this.
Well, I was basically abducted by the Greys. They're called the Greys, and it laughed, make it
Are you used to that reaction?
I am indeed. I'd actually float through doors and walls of a house. Yeah, I would.
How did they examine you? What did they do?
They placed instruments inside me.
It was a proper epidemic in the 90s.
Yeah, have you been abducted?
I've been abducted twice.
Right, so tell us what happened.
When I was young, I was 8 years old.
Oh, I was 8 years old when I was young too. Only for about a year though.
The point of the abduction was that during that time between leaving the Cub Hall and getting home, I had recollections of what appeared to be dwarves.
In '91, Central Weekend looked at the conspiracy angle.
Are they already here?
This isn't about whether aliens exist, but rather, are they secretly in league with governments?
Why are they withholding them? Why the cover-up? For goodness sake, this is big news. Extraterrestrials on the planet Earth working with the US government.
They've got a skeptic in. Hope it's not Fred again.
Well, I'm not given to strong language, as my friends will know, but I think it's a lot of balls.
Deal it up, ya!
Bollocks.
Bollocks, I think.
Hines also showed up in a 1990 episode about crop circles.
I think that if there is an intelligence, it's a pretty unintelligent way of trying to communicate with us.
Isn't it awkward when you're getting a custom suit made and they measure your inside leg? Especially if you've got a... Anyway, Hines has got no time for wild claims, and they've a man on the phone who reckons he had a go in a top-secret anti-gravity chamber.
Have you been inside this gravity-free room? And if you have, and if experienced microgravity, why do you think billions of dollars are being spent to establish microgravity conditions in space?
Well, I think that's quite obvious, really.
Yeah, Hines, stop asking silly questions. I wish we got to hear from the goth lady. But if you think ghosts love getting people who've gone to bed, it's way worse with aliens.
What happened?
Well, basically the experience entailed me actually going to bed.
Oh, bet it did.
I woke up the next morning, sort of confused, but convinced myself that it had actually happened.
Now these craft are abducting people. They're abducting men, taking sperm from the men.
For any spacemen listening, don't bother coming for me. Time I go to bed, there's none left. These lads are back again.
You come from the Aetherius Society, don't you?
That's correct.
Gary Oldman's Dracula is also with us. And what about Hines? Has he been convinced?
No, I think it is more probable that the traffic cones we see along the motorways are aliens than the evidence which we have been presented with today.
So you stand by your first comment?
Yes.
Well, that's it for this week. Remember, we're back same time next Friday with that little and large debate.
Who's best, Sid or Eddie? A nation decides.
You've only seen it once, because that might not be you astral travelling then.
Yeah.
Can you astral travel?